Hey guys, this is Rishi, also known as the Indian Unlocks, and today in this video we're going to talk about the 1070 that is card behind me. Yes, that's right. We're going to review it and see if that is the card that you should get for your next build. So without any further ado, let me roll the intro. Let's get to the review and unlock it. Let's begin. Welcome back guys after the intro. Let's get to the card itself. Yes, disclaimer, this card was sent to us by Asus and we have a strict policy that we will not give biased reviews to anyone, no matter who they are. So yes, Asus has agreed to that and they have said that yes, they want a fair review, they want the truth. Okay, that's how I like a company to react with our terms and conditions. So that out of the way, let's get to the review itself. So let's begin. Now the card is a GTX1070 manufactured by Asus, as I told before. This is a 6-month-old card released in June of 2016, 6 months back approximately, and the card is really good. Spoiler alert, yeah, the card is really good, especially for 1440p gaming. The card is excellent. Overclocking, stability, cooling efficiency, power design, build quality, and much more things are coming in this review. So now let's get to the review itself. Let me get the hardware specs, like the boring things, out of the way right now. And I would like to tell you one more thing is that I'm not going to concentrate on the benchmarking stuff and all. I'm going to say how the experience was in the 2 weeks of testing that I got with this card, and we'll discuss it at the later conclusion part. But let's get to the hardware specs and I'll just quickly brush up through the part. So the base clock of this card is 1657 megahertz or so, and the boost clock is 1860 megahertz. Now I had no issues running this card at 2000 megahertz by default, without any overclocking, without any tinkering, or without any requirement of me going and overclocking. Nothing was required. It was getting about 2000 megahertz on its own without any interference. That's a really great thing. I have a 980 Ti Strix edition card. Obviously it's an older architecture and all, but I was really impressed by the core numbers and the the overclock ability of this card also. I'm going to talk that in the later part of the video, but yeah, let's not spoil that. So with the base and boost clock out of the way, let's talk about the memory. The memory out in here is 8 GB of GDDR5. Made by Samsung. Mine is made by Samsung. There are other Hynix variants also out there. Yes, it is clocked in at 8 GHz. I was able to overclock it up to 8400 or 8500-ish. The Hynix ones are overclocking to a more higher level, like 8800 megahertz or so, whereas the Samsung ones are only achieving about 8500. But yeah, that is just overclocking potential. Every card might differ. The card that I have only goes up to 8500 in terms of memory clocks. Let's talk about the power requirement of this card. It requires just a single 8-pin power connector, that is 8-pin PCI Express power connector, and that is it, because this card is not that power hungry, but it delivers when it comes to performance, and it does not require much any more power than if you have a 550 or 600 watts, that should be enough for the whole system as such. Now it has a full RGB back plate. What I mean by that is, yes, we have a back plate out in here, which is a really good thing, because see, the sturdiness of the card is really great. The 980 Ti that I am rocking in my rig out in here is not as well built as this card, because this card is built like a tank and it does not sag. So the build quality wise, I am really impressed with this build quality of this card, and these are the details that Asus has improved, I guess, on the next new generation cards. Job well done, Asus, job well done. Anyways, full RGB controls via the Asus Aura software. Yes, you have to download a new software for that. If Asus is listening, please guys, just combine the two softwares. You don't need two softwares just for RGB effect and the other one to overclock. So yeah, and one more thing that I would like to bring to your notice is that this is a really color neutral card. What I mean by that is, it is matte black, so it will go in any build that you want. This will go with any color scheme that you have. Not everyone likes a red and black build. I like it, you might not like it, right? So this is a really great detail that Asus people have listened to the consumers, and I really appreciate that, because this can go in any build that you want. Now coming to the I/O of the card itself, it has two HDMI 2.0 ports supporting a resolution of 4K at 60Hz and 2 DP ports is supporting a resolution of 4K at 120Hz. Also a DVI port is present at the back. Now why I am talking about this is because VR gaming is much more prevalent out in here in this day and age, and yes, you need to HDMI ports if you want to connect it to a VR headset, and the other one goes to the TV. If you want to build a living room HTPC for that matter, or a VR box for that matter for your living room, yes, this is a card and it is a VR ready card. So that is a good thing. So one more thing that Asus is touting on this card is the PWM fan controller for external fans that is located out in here. If you want to install some fans that are affecting the graphics cooling capability, you can control it directly via the graphic card. Now I don't know how many people would use that feature, because currently on the front of my PC I have the radiator installed, which just blows out air anyways. So I don't want that to be controlled via my graphics card, because the pump is already controlling that. But yes, if you do have something like a front fan and the radiator is on the top, yes, you can very well control it via the graphic card itself, and that will additionally help your graphic card and your system to be more cooler and more quieter than that. And yes, the external fans can be controlled with the GPU Tweak 2 software itself. Now that the specs and all are out of the question, now let's get to the benchmarking of it, and here are the results. Talking about the benchmarks and all, I did not want all of you to be confused with all the numbers of benchmarks, the overclocking numbers, etc, etc. So I am not that much concentrated and worried about the benchmarking as far as possible, because I am trying to give you an experience that I have recorded with my my experience with the graphic card. And with the 2 weeks that I had, the experience was really good. The card was very stable, very quiet, and the overclocking features, I'll discuss it after the benchmarks. So let's see the benchmarks. Let's check out. Now the GP104 core and the Pascal architecture, which means 16 nanometer FinFET process and all. So the overclockability on the Asus Strix 1070 is really great. It reaches a 2000 megahertz core clock easily, like without any manual intervention itself. The only thing I needed to manually intervene was when I had need to overclock it further than 2000 megahertz, and I got a maximum score of about 26 megahertz. And sometimes it also went to 2150, but it was unstable at that point, so I had to pull it back a little. So 2126 is the maximum clock speed that I got on this, and the memory clock speed was about 84 to 8500 megahertz. So that's a really good thing. Nevertheless, the performance is really good. Also talking about the thermals and all, the card did not exceed about 70 degrees Celsius in my usual testing. Like, it was under 100% load, and the fans were roughly about 50%. But yeah, the noise levels were really not that much intervening. Next, coming to the cooler itself, yes, this is a DC, that is the direct CU cooler. What that means is, for you, is that the copper heat sinks are directly in contact with the GPU core. What that translates to is better cooling, lower noise, and the fans do not spin until the card is at about 30 to 40% load, GPU load. So that's a really good thing. Majority of the time the fans don't spin. Even if you are browsing, if you're watching YouTube videos, no matter what, if it is on 4K video also, not an issue. This monitor is a 4K monitor, so yes, I am putting a lot of stress on that. But yeah, only sometimes one of the fans will spin. Most of the times the fans are silent until and unless I am starting to game on it, and then the card will. Even after then, like, I'll tell you what, I was overclocking this card for like the benchmarking and all, Heaven benchmark, Valley benchmarks. I manually tweaked it to the fan to 100% to see what kind of noise flow that we get. The fans are really smooth, like you cannot listen to the fan if the case is closed. Now if I do that with my 980 Ti, I can literally hear it at about 75% fan speed. yes, for synthetic benchmarks, yes, it did cross 70 to 75 degrees Celsius, but synthetic benchmark does not count because for a normal person the GPU won't stress that much as it is stressing on synthetic benchmarks. In gaming loads, the temperatures were well above 70 degrees Celsius. That is especially in India because this is a tropical country. The ambient temperatures are always high. So with that taking in mind, the 70 degrees Celsius mark is really good. So these were the experiences that I had with the graphics card itself. I have been having this experience for about 2 weeks or so. I have been playing plenty of games on it. I have been video editing on it, and yes, day-to-day tasks. It has no issues as such. Yeah. So coming to the conclusion of this review itself, yes, I have taken a lot of time of you guys, but yes, detailed reviews are sort of our niche. So yes, let's talk about the final conclusion of this card and whether you should buy it or not. So answering the final question is whether you should buy it or not, well, it depends on your budget first of all, because this is sort of ranging in the price segment of 40 to 45,000. If you have that kind of money, just go ahead and get this. It's a really good, one of the best cards in the market out right now for 1070 range. And if you have more money, get the 1080 because always get a higher hardware. But anyways, coming back to this hardware itself, the 1070 Asus Strix is one of the best cards out there in the market, and you can take my word for it. I have tested it thoroughly. You can also see that numbers in the benchmarking and all. The experience that you will get with this card is really excellent. 1080p gaming easily will cross 120 frames per second in games like CSGO, and it will easily crush it at 1080p. 1440p gaming AAA titles easily will cross 60 frames per second. No issues with that. This card is really excellent, and I was having really high hopes on this card because this was sort of my first 1070 review, and Asus has done a great job in the build quality. The build is really excellent, and you have to feel it in your hands to know what kind of build quality they have achieved with this one. This is a really excellent build, and I want to see a 1080 how that is built, because if this is so adequately and so perfectly built, a 1080 would be a really awesome card. But yeah, skip the 1080. Asus, please send me a 1080 Ti if you can. The design really great, as I told you before. Will go with any build that you like. It has RGB controls and all. The overclockability is really excellent. Next thing is the cooling. Cooling is really efficient, under 70 degrees Celsius under load. In India, that too is a really great thing. And to recap it all, 5 things. The last one is that the price point. For 40,000 rupees, the performance is almost close to a 980 Ti, which is really great. And in terms of all of these 5 features, this card is really packing a punch. So that was the review of the 1070 from Asus. In India, currently retailing for about 40 to 45,000. Amazon links are in the description below. Do check offline stores before buying online, because unless and until there is offer online, I don't think so you will be getting good deal on online. Go ahead and search for offline store. If you don't have offline store, just go ahead and use my link for the best prices. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up, because this is our first review and it will really help us a lot. If you want to ask anything, comment section below. If you want to request any videos related to PC parts, go ahead in the comment section below. We'll try to make every video, every request and every reply. We'll reply to every comment that you can. Do leave in the comment section below what kind of PC builds do you want, because a 20k or 25k build is coming soon on this channel itself. Do subscribe to this channel itself, because PC related contents are really coming to India. Yes, if you join us, I promise you PC related content will come to India and the prices will go down significantly. If you want to know any sale related to PC components, go ahead and check out our Facebook page, that is the Indian Unlocks. We post PC related deals on that page, so go ahead and like that page. So anyway, this was Rishi K, that is the Indian Unlocks. For more such videos, do subscribe to our channel and give us your feedback in the comment section below. I hope to see you in my next video, and I hope you learned something about this and enlightened yourself. So this was Rishi K, the Indian Unlocks, and I hope you unlock something today. Have a nice day.